Welcome to the Light Seekers Lounge. I'm Annie Love, a coach, mum to all boys, and your host for soulful conversations about building a life and a business that feel good from the inside out. Here we talk about mindset, money, and what it means to keep seeking the light and finding joy, even when life or business feels hard. So sit back and settle in. I am so glad you're here. Hello, friend, and welcome back to the Light Seekers Lounge. I'm Annie Love, and this is episode 133. I acknowledge that it has been quite some time since I have been in your ears. I have thought about coming back many times, and it didn't quite happen for varied and many reasons. Today, I'm embracing progress over perfection and actually sitting behind the microphone instead of waiting to feel completely ready. I have candles burning and I'm ready for a catch up with you. I have to admit there was also a little bit of celestial peer pressure involved. I opened up my CHANI astrology app and I kid you not, it literally told me I needed to record a podcast episode. So here I am. What I know about myself is that action breeds momentum. And doing the thing is often what creates the excitement for me to keep going. It gives me the motivation, but I have to begin first, which is tricky when action has to come before motivation. But here I am. And here we are in August, the 8th month of the year. I don't know about you, but being in August can bring up feelings of the year being practically over. It's not though. Christmas is not actually next Thursday, but psychologically it can feel alarmingly close. And I guess that can trigger the feelings of, that needing to rush and to catch up and to rescue the year or actually maybe even declare it a write-off and tell yourself that you're going to start over in 2027. But I want to remind you that this moment or this feeling is for noticing, not panicking. That's what I'm telling myself. There are still 5 months of the year left. We're only just over halfway. So it's a good time to stop, to reflect, to take stock, and think about how we want to feel at the end of 2026. I wonder if there's a goal that you set in January that you really want to accomplish this year. How do you want to feel at the end of this year? We have time. I feel like there have been a lot of transitions in my life lately and even for those around me too in 2026. So let me share a few little things that have been happening for me and for the loves this year. One probably bigger thing is that late last year I returned to working in our IT business again. So if you don't know, my husband Ben and I founded an IT business called Grassroots IT 21 years ago. That sounds like a long time, right? I've worked in the business on and off over those years, just around kids and all the adventures we had with our children in younger years. But in the past few years, I haven't been as involved. Late last year, our marketing manager resigned and Ben asked if I'd come back on board to take on the role. And while I was genuinely happy to, in all honesty, it did take a number of months for me to get my head back in the game and pick up skills that I thought I'd lost. But I feel like I've really found my rhythm again now and I'm really enjoying the work. I'm enjoying playing with AI in ways that I hadn't before. And yeah, it's been fun. And I also had this realization that working in our family business really aligns beautifully with my highest value, which is family. Ben and I work really well together. We have a really good partnership. We have different roles in the business, but we work alongside each other. It's been really nice to be back with our work family and also working together towards that shared vision for our family. So it feels like it really incorporates well into my highest value of family. So I guess that leads into, where is coaching for me these days? And, it has really been a time of reflection on that because people close to me have been moving through their own business transitions and pauses and pivots and endings, some mentors, some business friends and even clients. And watching them make those thoughtful and sometimes difficult decisions has really prompted me to review my own business, thinking about what still fits and what I want it to look like moving forward. I absolutely still love coaching and supporting women, but I am thinking about the place that I want it to hold alongside grassroots IT and family and how I balance all the things. I'm not going anywhere. I absolutely love coaching. It lights me up working with incredible women. But I'm also staying curious and open about what the structure of coaching looks like for me into the future. I have not made any big decisions, but that's where I'm at the moment. One other thing that Ben and I have worked through lately and just had an ending to is that, that sounded a little bit more dramatic than it needed to be. Ben and I have just finished up our year on the EO Queensland board. So EO is Entrepreneurs Organisation. Ben was the president over the last 12 months and I was on the board looking after the SLP or the partner program. And it's been a really great year. It was a really great board. It stretched me in ways that I didn't know I needed to be stretched. I will always think about all the things I didn't get done in that year. But I'm really glad that I stepped up and did it. And it's also marked the end of a really meaningful commitment and a really pretty big investment in time and energy. So I am also welcoming in the extra space in our lives. We do joke that we're going to have to find something else to talk about because we talked about EO Queensland so much over the past 12 months. So it has been a welcome change and really happy to hand that over to the next amazing board that's going to look after it. In terms of our family, our beloved eldest son Sam is at the tail end of year 12 and gosh, before we know it, he will be having external exams and be finished altogether. I think they wrap up in November. He does school by distance education as well as doing a TAFE at school program and works. So his year 12 looks a bit different to the traditional one, but it really works for him and his love for a life of variety. He has just turned 18, so we officially have another adult in the house. Charlie's in year 10, he's 16 and living his absolutely best musical life right now. He goes to a private school with a great music program and some really great mentors, but he's also been doing a TAFE at school program as well in sound production. And he's releasing original songs to Spotify and even playing at open mic nights lately. Honestly, he inspires me every day with his creativity and confidence, and I just love watching him bloom. And I don't know if you can believe this, it's hard for me to believe, but this year marks 10 years without our beautiful Nicholas. He died in May of 2016, so it's really pretty crazy to think that it's been a whole decade without him. I'm really conscious that we are entering a very different season of parenting. We've probably already entered our very different season of parenting. There's so much pride in watching our young men become more independent and more fully themselves. But there's also a quiet adjustment for Ben and I in being needed in a different way. I'm really excited for what's opening up for both of them and also conscious that another version of our family life is gradually ending at the same time. I am choosing to believe that this new season is different, not worse. Yes, I'm seeing glimpses of when we won't have kids at home anymore, and that does feel a bit sad, but I'm also enjoying more space around the edges. I'm loving the conversations that we have with our older kids and just seeing them spread their wings and become more of who they are in the world has been really beautiful. Something that's happened in our family life recently that's been pretty momentous is that we have sold our farm. So when Ben's dad died quite suddenly in 2022, we inherited a farm and a mortgage, a 40-acre block of land about an hour and a half outside of Brisbane. And it has become a really special place, particularly for Ben and Sam, who are more inclined on the farming life. It's been a really important part of our family history, and selling it has closed a significant family chapter for us. While it's felt like a good decision for our future, handing it over to new owners has been really big and emotional, And it carries that mix of sadness, gratitude, relief, and possibility. And it's another reminder of that duality of life, right? Being able to hold both the sadnesses and the joy. So the common thread in all of these little chapters that I've just shared with you is that life changes, right? There are transitions and seasons, and our businesses are allowed to change with it. We're allowed to change with it. And, it's made me realize that I do have finite time and attention, and I need to choose where that goes. For my birthday this year, my sister gave me a copy of a book called Meditation for Mortals by Oliver Burkeman. I don't know if you've read it, but he also wrote 4,000 Weeks. And the premise of that is that we each get about 4,000 weeks, give or take, to live our lives. The Meditation for Mortals book is not at all about meditation, but it's a book of daily reflections. And it's kind of based on the fact that we are finite, imperfect human beings. If we accept that, and we stop trying to override that fact with, endless productivity systems, we can probably better use the time and attention we actually have to participate wholeheartedly in our lives. It comes with the understanding and the premise that I'm never going to get perfectly on top of everything or arrive at a future with unlimited capacity. And, that truth can feel uncomfortable in ways, but it's also clarifying, right? Not everything can matter equally. So, the useful question is not how do I fit everything in, especially before this year ends, but what feels worthy of my limited attention right now. So probably 3 lessons, my top 3 lessons from the book have been to let it be easy. So stop assuming that worthwhile things need to be difficult. We can look at the minimum viable version, simplify, outsource, distinguish the essential from the nice to have, and remember that there's no extra gold stars for unnecessary suffering. My second lesson was that action breeds momentum, and hopefully this is an example for you today, that, showing up daily-ish, starting before we're ready, putting a time boundary around the work and actually creating something. I can't improve the podcast, the writing, the idea or the system until at least one version exists. So I need to embrace progress over perfection. And the third lesson is probably just that, our time and attention is finite. And so we need to work out how to spend them deliberately. 3 or 4 genuinely productive hours can be enough. Protecting them from meaningless distractions and obligations, but also leaving margins for the people and the conversations and the pleasure and the spontaneous moments that are actually part of a good life. When the 16-year-old wants to come in and sit and debrief life, we need to make space for those moments. So if my time is finite, I do not want to spend all of it trying to be productive. I want to make room for play and delight and the things that bring me joy. So why am I even sharing this book with you? I have loved it, I have to tell you. And I guess probably the last thing I would mention about the book is that I'm really trying to read it mindfully. So it's a book of daily reflection. So I'm trying not to skip ahead to a future lesson and a future day, but just to read one lesson, which is a couple of pages each day, and it's not even every day, but just to read it and actually think about what it means to me, how it resonates for me, what it means in my life. And that's been a really nice practice too. So I'm talking about this book because this year I chose play as my word of the year. And play for me, it doesn't mean doing something frivolous all day, every day, but loosening my grip on outcomes and being open to experimenting. It's about finding glimmers and moments of joy and delight in this crazy old world that we're living in, right? I follow an account on Instagram, which is at kate.spiritualbusiness, and she often shares videos talking to camera with lessons and messages that her spiritual guides have shared with her. One came up recently and I honestly can't remember what the whole video was about, but 2 words stuck with me and they were joyous curiosity. I love those words. What happens when we do things with a lens of joyous curiosity and just see what happens? I've been doing a couple of experiments this year. One is to grow my nails, successful so far. I've been experimenting a bit with my health. I've been much more consistent at the gym. I've been following a particular eating plan and I have not felt deprived in any way. I've still been out enjoying life, but the incidental result of that has been that I have lost about 6 kilos over 6 months and I do feel lighter and stronger and healthier and I'm loving that. So that's been a fun experiment. I'm looking forward to a family holiday in Tasmania in September. We haven't been away with the boys for quite a while. And something super fun to look forward to in December is that Charlie and I are off to see Harry Styles in Sydney. So we're both very excited about that. And, this podcast has continued to be a glimmer for me. I miss thoughtful conversations and using my voice and creating something with heart. I hope it's a glimmer for you too. I hope you saw it pop up in your podcast feed today and thought, yay, Annie's back. As I said at the beginning, recording this episode is in itself an example of showing up before I feel completely ready. I decided that I don't need a perfectly mapped out season or a grand relaunch strategy before taking this step. I am not going to make sweeping promises about weekly episodes forevermore, and you probably wouldn't believe me even if I did. My simple intention is to keep having conversations that explore business and money and wholeness and family and meaningful work and the choices that shape a wholehearted life. Perhaps there's something in your own life that keeps glimmering at you, even though you don't know exactly what it will become. So let me leave you with a few gentle questions to end our conversation today. What keeps gently tapping you on the shoulder? What are you waiting to feel motivated enough to begin? What no longer fits the life you are living now? Where do you need to let go of who you thought you needed to become to make room for more of who you already are? What still lights you up and fills you with joy? What is one small step you could take towards a yet unrecognized goal or glimmer before the year is over? Where could you take that small step today? I don't think any of us needs the whole path mapped out. Perhaps we only need to notice the next glimmer and take one meaningful step towards it. I am so glad that I followed this glimmer and the celestial peer pressure and found my way back behind the microphone today. Thank you so much for being here with me and listening, especially if you're still listening after all of my updates. I don't know exactly what shape this next season will take, but I am very grateful to reconnect with you and I look forward to speaking with you again very soon. Have the most beautiful week. Thank you so much for being here in the Lightseekers Lounge with me today. If this episode resonated with you, I would so love it if you could share it, leave a review, or come and say hi to me over on Instagram at annielove.coach. Until next time, keep seeking the light.